Today on Capitol Hill, a sharp exchange raised serious questions about leadership, accountability, and what it truly means to manage taxpayer dollars in the nation's largest defense institution. The confirmation hearing for Pete Hegseth took a critical turn when Senator Richard Blumenthal zeroed in on financial stewardship, a topic that could define whether Hegseth is prepared to oversee life-and-death decisions affecting more than 3 million service members.
And thank you very much, Senator Blumenthal.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for having this hearing. Thank you for being here, Mr. Hegseth. And I want to join in expressing appreciation and respect for your service to our country. And thanks to all the veterans who are here today. And thank you for your service as the ranking member of the Veterans Affairs Committee. I hope we can focus on doing better for our veterans and doing better in management of the Department of Defense. There's always room for improvement. I think what we need in that position is not just better, but the best in financial management, because those decisions are life and death decisions affecting the 3.4 million Americans who serve our national security and our national defense and put their lives on the line. I want to talk about financial mismanagement at the two organizations that you headed, which are the only test of your financial management that we have before this committee, the Veterans for Freedom and Concerned Veterans for America. You took over the Veterans for Freedom in 2007. In 2008, you raised $8.7 million, but spent more than $9 million, creating a deficit. By January 2009, you told donors that the organization had less than $1,000 in the bank and debts of $434,000. By 2010, revenue at the Veterans for Freedom had dropped to about $265,000. In the next year, it had dropped further to $22,000. You don't dispute these numbers, do you?
Senator, I'm extremely proud of the work me and my fellow vets did at Vets for Freedom. A bunch of young vets with no political experience, a small group, working hard every single day. We raised donor funds. And and we have letters submitted for the record from almost everyone that worked with me every single day, including our chief operating officer, who will attest that every dollar we raised was used intentionally toward the execution of our mission, which is supporting the warfighters, exactly why we're here today, the warfighters in the Iraq surge. There was a campaign in 2008, Senator. It was Barack Obama versus John McCain. We believe John McCain would be the right person to win, and so we spent more.
Returns from that organization.
I'm glad they're for the record.
I'm going to ask to be entered into the record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
These tax returns are yours. They have your signature. And I'm going to ask that members of the committee review them because they're the only documents. I've asked for others. I've asked for the FBI report that would presumably document, it should have documented, this kind of financial mismanagement. And these are the 990s from that organization. By the year of 2011, donors had become so dissatisfied with that mismanagement, they, in effect, ousted you. They merged that organization with Military Families United, and thereafter, you joined a second organization as executive director.
In between, Senator, I went to Harvard University
I want to ask
for 2 years and
questions.
Afghanistan.
I want to ask you questions about Concerned Veterans for America. Again, another set of tax returns, the 990s from that organization. I ask they be made part of the record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, both of those returns are now part of the record.
2011 to 2016. At the end of 2013, shortfall of $130,000. At the end of 2014, shortfall of $428,000. You had a surplus the following year, but then another deficit of $437,000. By the time you left, That organization had deep debts, including credit card transaction debts of about $75,000. That isn't the kind of fiscal management we want at the Department of Defense. We can't tolerate it at the Department of Defense. That's an organization with a budget of $850 billion, not 10 or 15 million, which was the case at those two organizations. And it has command responsibility for 3.4 million Americans. The highest number that you managed in those two organizations was maybe 50 people. Let me ask you, how many men and women now serve in the United States Army? What is Sen's strength?
Senator, I would like an opportunity to respond to
Well,
the
I've asked you a
impugning of
question.
my
How many-
leadership of
how
a
many men
veterans
and women
organization. Concerned
currently
Veterans for
serve?
America, you're on the VA committee, sir, and I appreciate your service there. The VA Accountability Act and the Mission Act were all brainchilds of Concerned Veterans for America. We used our donor money very intentionally and focused to create policy that bettered the lives of veterans.
Mr. Hegseth, I'm asking you a very simple question. How many men and women currently serve in the United States Army?
Senator, the United States Army, 450,000 on active duty, sir.
And how many in the Navy?
And the Navy is 425, sir.
Well, it's 337 this year. How many in the Marine Corps?
175,000, sir.
172,300. Those numbers dwarf any experience you had by many multiples. I don't believe that you can tell this committee or the people of America that you are qualified to lead them. I would support you as the spokesperson for the Pentagon. I don't dispute your communication skills, but I believe that we are entitled to the facts here. I've asked for more documents. I assume you'd be willing to submit to an expanded FBI background check that interviews your colleagues, accountants, ex-wives, former spouses, sexual assault survivors, and others, and enable them to come forward.
Senator, I'm not in charge of FBI background checks.
But you would submit to it and support it.
I'm not in charge of FBI background checks.
Thank you, Senator Blumenthal.
If you value clear breakdowns of power and accountability, make sure to subscribe to the channel for ongoing coverage like this. Senator Blumenthal began by striking a respectful tone, acknowledging military service and the sacrifices of veterans in the room. But the focus quickly shifted to management, not ideology. His argument was simple but consequential. The Department of Defense does not just need improvement, it needs excellence in financial management. With a budget larger than most national economies, even small failures can ripple into readiness gaps, delayed equipment, and risks to troops in the field. Subscribe now so you do not miss deeper analysis on how these decisions affect real people. To test Hegseth's readiness, Blumenthal pointed to the only concrete record available to the committee, Hegseth's leadership of two veteran-focused organizations, Veterans for Freedom and Concerned Veterans for America. According to figures entered into the record, Veterans for Freedom raised approximately $8.7 million in 2008, but spent more than $9 million, creating a deficit that carried into the following year. By early 2009, donors were told the organization had less than $100,000 on hand while carrying hundreds of thousands in debt. Within 2 years, revenue reportedly collapsed to just $22,000. These numbers were not presented as political talking points, but as a test of fiscal judgment. If this kind of financial trajectory sounds important to you, subscribe for continued fact-based reporting. Hegseth did not dispute the numbers, but he reframed the story. He described a group of young veterans with little political experience, driven by mission rather than polish, working long hours to support warfighters. He emphasized that letters from colleagues and the organization's chief operating officer attest that funds were used intentionally toward mission goals. In his telling, the question was not about profit and loss statements, but about purpose and impact. This contrast between financial discipline and mission-driven spending is at the heart of the confirmation debate, and subscribing helps you stay informed as it unfolds. What viewers may not immediately realize is why this exchange matters far beyond one nonprofit's balance sheet. The Pentagon has failed multiple audits, struggles with tracking assets, and faces long-standing criticism for waste and inefficiency. Senators are not simply judging past performance, they are projecting future risk. Can someone who led organizations through financial collapse be trusted to manage the most complex defense budget in the world? Or does mission-driven leadership excuse imperfect accounting? These are the questions shaping this nomination, and subscribing ensures you get context, not just clips. As this hearing continues, expect more scrutiny, not just of ideology or loyalty, but of competence, discipline, and judgment under pressure. Confirmation hearings are not about who someone is on television, they are about how they perform when the stakes are highest. If you want clear, human-centered explanations of what these moments mean for national security and for the people who serve, subscribe now and stay with us for the next segment.